Is the camera even on?
I think so.
Oh, we're actually live, are we?
Just chat.
Okay. General chat. The Treasure's on now. I can't chat with enough to know we're live.
Well, what Mike Skinner song were you singing?
It was good. I can't repeat it.
I can't repeat it. It was brutal.
Well, it's very different, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't help but feel the CIP pump is ruining the ambience for us.
It seems weird because it's so noisy behind.
Yeah, it'd be better if it's quieter. All of the delicious beer. 52 people.
Ooh.
Are we doing this on YouTube rather than Facebook? Is it because you've got less friends on Facebook than you do on YouTube, Ash?
We guide them all onto Facebook.
For someone who's quite popular in work, Ash has surprisingly few friends on Facebook. It's one of those you're like, oh, I don't know if he's scared of technology or he's just not friendly. I think my mum has more friends than him. She's a horrible person. Are they yeah, no, well, oh no.
Russian Autobots.
Russian Autobots.
Are we good to go, Ash? Got a few more logging on. It's not on Instagram as well, is it?
So can't you stream across all platforms? I think if Ash had more friends, he'd be able to do that.
He's had all his friends.
Well, he's got no friends, that's why. Have you got Torrified Wheat as well?
We're ready. We're good. We're good to go.
Hi, Gaz's mum.
Hi, Mum. Hello, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Such horror to unveil.
Didn't know what YouTube was.
Yeah, no. My dad uses it to like fix cars.
Oh, really?
You get loads of like self-help videos.
I can see.
Helpful.
Good to go. Awesome. Right, welcome, guys. Awesome. Right, welcome, guys. First time on YouTube. I hope it goes all right. We got new microphones and stuff. I think it's only taken us a year, isn't it?
Just about. I think as long as everyone's like pressed to like skip 5 seconds of the advert, we should be all right.
Yeah, and we got new GoPros, new microphones,
new lights, new director.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Charlie Dawes, who's doing all the directing.
Yeah.
And is horrible to us.
New marketing.
Yeah. New merch, new beers, new year, new you.
Exactly. But we're still in lockdown. I know.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
So it's another lockdown virtual tasting. Again, thanks for joining us. Hope it goes all right on the YouTube. We got a load of new equipment, so hopefully the sound quality is a bit better. I know it's been a bit up and down over the last sort of few months.
Yeah. We're sorry that you can still see us for most of that. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I know there's a lot of noise behind us, and hopefully you're not picking it up. But we are still brewing today. We've got a new beer that Mark will jump on a little bit later, which is really fun. But I think what we're going to do for the next 3 days, because we've got another tasting tomorrow, 6:30.
Yeah,
6:30, I think.
Yep. Okay.
And another tasting on Saturday.
2:30.
At 2:30.
For England, we lose Wales.
Yeah,
that's 2.
Sorry, 2 o'clock. Yeah,
2 o'clock. So join in half an hour and you'll miss all of this.
Yeah. So you'll manage to see England lose to Wales.
I got a feeling that you're right. Yeah. I hate admitting it.
No. Yeah, it's been a while since the virtual tasting. When the last one?
Just before Christmas, wasn't it? Did the Funks? You now did the Funks.
Oh right, yeah. It seemed like ages. We've been super busy doing the birthday beers. We've been busy for the last kind of 4, 5, 6 months, really designing the birthday beers, right the way from sort of design, ordering all the materials. It's not just the final beer that it's kind of that you're seeing. What you see is a huge amount of work. It goes right the way through the business, because kind of launching 1 beer, 2 beers is kind of hard enough. But 14, I think it was 14 in total.
14. So I think the whole R&D project was actually 17 in length. We've still got 1 to go. So it's become so big, the birthday. We start talking about it. August, September. It comes in before Christmas does, really, for us these days, to sort of get this nailed.
And we kind of brewed half of them before Christmas.
Yeah, take a while.
And then the rest of them early January.
Yeah, very early January. These would have been the last ones we did. Yeah. So the first ones to go, because hops fade fast. So
exactly. Yeah, Mark's totally right. So we always try and keep the beers that we like to keep the freshest last to brewing. So these 4 IPAs, oh my God. I think what we're going to do, we'll jump straight into the first one, guys, because I know we're talking a bit and we could talk a glass eye to sleep, but we'll just jump into the first one and we'll carry on talking. So we're going to, I mean, the whole kind of ethos around these ones, oh my God, they killed. Why are they called oh my God, they killed?
Again, Brad's just about catching up with the 90s, I think. So
Yeah.
like around 96, up to about 96 now. He's just discovered South Park.
Yeah.
So oh my God, we're onto that. And later there'll be a Frasier themed beer. So
Really?
yeah, that'll be good.
I've never watched South Park.
Yep. Wait, haven't you?
No.
Oh, you're missing it. The
No,
latest series are great. I'm being directed to put it up close to the camera. There you go. Is that too close? So,
I mean, we don't really do single hop beers. We've done a few in the past, but it's not something that we've really kind of tried to push. Mainly for the reasons where we always like to mix it up, and I'm a bit of a believer in 2 or 3 hops together. Sometimes kind of can show off the hops a little bit better than just the one.
yeah.
So we thought we kind of mix it up really, and
Yeah, it's just presenting that depth of character and flavor that's really important.
yeah. So kind of the first one that we're going to go with is the Lotus Little Nipa. Now, Mark, do you want to explain about the Lotus hops?
Yeah, sure. So they're fairly new. They've been in the UK, well, Western Europe for about, I think about 2 years now. It's the first time we've used it. We first tried it from our friends at Hopsteiner. It's one of their experimental varieties. It's parent hops. So when I presume to what hop breeding a bit later, but obviously hops have grown all over the world, and then different soil varieties, different types, different atmospheres, different climates give you really different sort of hops. And these are microclimates in America have been really, really important that have been discovered and programmed since the early 1900s. And this is Lotus, one of Hopsteiner's ones. Its parents are actually, I think it's Northern Brewer and Cascade. So Cascade's parent is actually in 2 of these hops is Cascade's parent, parent hop. And this has just come out sort of in the last 2 years, it's really good. It's really light. It's a very fragrant hop. Gets sort of like a jasmine, lemon, very subtle. It's not like a big, heavy, weighty hop. So getting the right balance for what we wanted to do with it.
I think we really liked it when the first samples came in and we were smelling it. I think we were a few others, wasn't it? And like this one kind of stood out, didn't it? We were
By
like,
a long way.
we'd love to try and get that in our portfolio somewhere. So I think it's the first time we've used it.
Yeah.
Holds it really well. I mean,
it's great. It's got really got a jasmine, floral, sort of honeysuckle almost, like very much a flowery floral hop. It's got a bit of earthiness in there. We paired it with another couple of hops in there, much in the background. Because it's so light and delicate, it's really difficult to sort of get the combination right to really pick it up and use it.
I get that really kind of orangey sort of thing going on. And it's nice. And I think at 4.8, I always believe that the lighter the ABV, the more the kind of hops come out, and you can really get the kind of characteristics around it. The stronger the beer gets, I always find they can get a little bit lost sometimes. So you tend to pick up the more subtle flavors.
Yeah,
maybe.
definitely.
And I think, I think it's a great little beer.
It works really well. It's quite dry for an IPA intentionally, again, to bring up that hop flavor into it.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy on sulfates in comparison to the others. But yeah, it's a really great, smashing little beer.
So do you want to explain the malts that we use in this one, Mark?
Yes. So although it's actually quite dark in colour for what it is, we use the super pale. So it's a really, really lightly kilned malt. It's got very little flavour in it to really sort of allow that hop to come through and start talking really well. And what that'll have done is managed to carry it through. There'll be a bit of oat in there, but again, we wanted a really clean, crisp, broad base for it so that everything could just be lightly settled in there. If it's getting thicker, more classic sort of, Nipa sort of styles, it has to be a lot more chewy, a lot more turgid. So yeah, we just wanted something a bit more delicate with this.
Well, that's really nice. I just get loads of orange. Really, it's awesome. You can pick up the Cascade as well, can't you? I mean, Cascade's a real old school hop. I wouldn't say it's the most widely used hop, but I mean it was the king of hops for a while, wasn't it? A few years ago.
Yeah, I remember discovering it or coming into the UK 2002 2003, and by that point it was really lemony, really citrusy, a bit herby, a bit spicy. Blew everything away from like North Down and sort of Fuggles.
It's a great hop. It really is. You got any questions on that beer, Charlie? No. Yeah,
we can do. I mean, we've got some hops behind us. These are hop pellets. we're 100% pellet brewery. We don't use fresh whole flower hops. And like, there's a lot of talk about like just how important hops have become over the last, particularly for modern styles of brewing, craft brewing, if you want to call it that way. That sort of high English and West Coast, East Coast American IPA that's really come out of that sort of chewy, yeasty thing.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people say it's the hop breeding programs that America put in that give us these Citra, mosaics, these huge things. For me, it's the hop pellet that really allow people to come and look at dry hopping again rather than flesh flowers in caskets. It's really allowed you to be a little more versatile.
Yeah.
It was created for like the big mega brewing industries, AB InBev, Carling, Carlsberg, so that they could transport hops more freshly, more easily. And what that's allowed them to do, obviously, is get rid of all the sort of twigs and the brach and the mulch from the plant and have these prepped and ready to go. And what that's enabled people, you know, some people to do over the time is rediscover dry hopping, late cone hopping, you know, allow that to put it in there so you retain those oils that are really sort of delicate, that you can be lost in the boil. So yeah,
I can remember when we first started brewing. I think for the first 5-6 years, we used to brew with whole leaf hops because we were a kind of our sort of brewing methods back sort of 9 years ago were very traditional style, very, you know, leaf hops. We'd always dry hop with pellets, but we used to use leaf, and it was such a pain. It was such a pain because whenever you put them inside the boiler, you have to dig them all out. You know, I think people say, do you get the difference between leaf and pellet? Do you think you get so much difference?
I think you would if you were doing a beer like this. I think, you know, you definitely get a more vegetable-y thing with it, sort of very hop forward. There's a limit with them, I think. You know, you get more of a vegetable-y thing because the amount of hops you're putting in.
Yeah.
You get other things with it, but I think, you know, the bigger guys, it'd be hard to struggle. More traditional English ales, I think you'd struggle to notice.
I think, you know, we've got some hops behind us. These are kind of what they look like. They're not real. They look kind of cool though. But they're also on our first ever brew kit when we kind of start. You know, this is around I'd say about 11, 12 years old now, and what we first started using in our garage, and
9 years ago.
Yeah, just kind of like setting up on it, doing loads of R&D, mash tun in the middle, hot liquor tank on the end, just a boiler on this end, and we spent 2 years on this, just doing loads of different brews. Kind of before we started, just trying to find our feet, doing loads of R&D.
Yeah.
You know, because what we didn't want to do is kind of make loads of mistakes as we started commercially. We've made all the mistakes kind of on this end. That's not to say we don't make any mistakes anymore, right? I don't know.
No, I can't remember one.
We're perfect.
Daily.
Yeah. So I mean, this was 11 years ago we bought this, and kind of 9 years ago now we started commercially. Back a couple of weeks ago. And every kind of February, we always love doing these birthday beers. And a lot of people say, 14 beers, that's too many. And, you know, I don't think it is really, personally. I think you can never make too many new beers. And I know as a brewery, and, you know, we are quite a decent size. We're not massive. We're not small.
Well, you got the big boys behind you.
Yeah, we've got these big tanks behind us now. I don't know if we can sort of flash up and have a look at them.
So you'd have to brew 160 times on that to fill one of those.
Yeah, so what's that, 150 hectoliters?
150 hect, yeah.
So 15,000 liters.
That's 1 hec.
So yeah, this is about 100 liters. So yeah, exactly. So I think, you know, the most fun for breweries like ourselves is to try and keep that flexibility. And we do have that flexibility because of the brewing system that we have. We have 2 brew houses, or 2 brewing kits in such, really. So we can twin stream, but it allows us to be flexible. It allows us to make all these different beers and not have to make them in massive batches. And I think it's the most fun when you can make new beers. You ask any brewer, any member of staff in the brewery, you know, they get bored if they come in the same every day making the same beers.
Yeah, there's a lot of joy in trying to drive consistency with core, but you know, it's painting rooms white to painting rooms funky pink.
Exactly, it's fun, isn't it? And I think that's what's most fun for brewers, and you know, and the sort of production staff and all the staff, really, they get really excited by it. And it's the same as you guys. You guys get excited by drinking all these new wonderful beers, and it's exactly the same thing for us. So, you know, 14 beers, it's very difficult to do, and it's taken us, I'd say, the best part of 6 months right from this design stage right the way through to what we're kind of drinking tonight. And you know, even ordering cans, everybody's ordering cans at the moment, and Mark had probably told you to sleep about ordering gear and cardboard, and it's very difficult at the moment because everybody wants it. So
I think what you touched on earlier as well is it's like there's not one person who doesn't work for this company that doesn't have a hand at some point in what some of these birthday beers.
Yeah.
And whether it's design, it's concept, it's whether it's bringing it all the way to through to term, right up to the R&D, merch we're wearing. The guys packing in the shop, they've done a fantastic job over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
All the packaging, going 6 different pack types with 14 different beers and brewing. And it's really important for our brewers to sort of get involved in this. And each one of these beers was led by one of our brewers independently.
Yeah.
So Lotus was led by a guy called Aidan, who's on the kit today. And it's his first beer for us. And I think he smashed it out of the park.
Yeah, very good. Should we jump on to the second one?
Should do, shouldn't we?
Yes.
I think we should do. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions on that one? On the
Questions
Lotus?
on Lotus?
What's your favourite hop? Go on, Mark. You can answer that one first.
Well, mine's Bramling Cross.
Bramling Cross.
Bramling Cross, traditional British Bramling Cross, blackcurranty, juicy, delicious. Managed to sneak it into a beer coming up in the future next month. Yeah. So I like that. How about you?
I like Mosaic. I
Cool.
think it's kind of a hop that came out quite early on. It wasn't out when we first started. It was a kind of like Citrus, Simcoe, Centennial. And then I can always remember this kind of Mosaic coming out. Before Mosaic, it was Nelson Sauvin. I absolutely loved Nelson Sauvin. I think it's died down a little bit now. I don't know why, whether it's overfarmed or something. I'm not sure. But I think when Mosaic came out, it kind of blew me away in a way. And it's just so, it's got a bit of everything, really. It's proper juicy.
So versatile.
Yeah, it is. And you can use it in so many different styles. I think it's probably Mosaic.
Yeah.
But if Nelson Sauvin was as good as we were tasting kind of 10 years ago, I'd have probably gone with Nelson Sauvin for being so unique.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's great. And the Mosaic's in everything, really. You can use it up front, you can use it forward, use it in the boil, use it in the bittering. It's fantastic.
Good hop. Right, so on to the next one, and we're going to go Sabro. So the Sabro IPA, a little bit stronger at 5.2. I got to come closer, apparently. This hop really interested me, and I know when the hops came in for a trial to smell them, I was kind of blown away, really. And I know you especially liked it.
Yeah, this is a real good one. We actually used it 2 years ago for the first time when it didn't have the name Sabro. It was under Yakima Chief's hop breeding program. I think it was HBC 438, which has got just the best marketable name. Love HBC 438. Sounds like you're living in a dystopian future. But we used it in a cask beer, and it sort of flew under the radar a little bit, but it gave us, it was called Apricot Whip. That was an important beer for us. It taught us a lot of different things. Apricot
Good
Whip.
beer as well.
Good beer.
Cask as well.
It was cask as well. So we did it in cask. We used it under the radar a little bit. And had this wonderful coconutty, lemony vibe. Similar to Sriracha Chase, but a lot more drinkable, a lot more less polarizing, a lot more sort of, fruity. And what a beer.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, this is my favorite one out of the four, so we should have come to last. But no, it is my favorite one out of the four. And I think it's because of that. It's the hop. It's so unique. And there is another twist to this beer as well, isn't it? But the yeast that Mark will jump on in a minute. But I mean, the smell on it, you really get that limey coconut.
It used it from their breeding program. I touched a bit earlier. I won't go on too much. It's quite dull. But this is actually bred with a wild hop. So a lot of hops have been cultivated over the last 500 years, and they've got specific breeding programs. Finally, get names like Mosaic. It takes like 7 years to make a known hop. This was bred with a wild hop that you get from New Mexico, Neo Mexicanus, a strain of that. And then again, it was crossed with Cascade again to make this hop. So they're still the same parent, but you can see how different, just through different growing varieties, different areas, different genetics, and different subtypes. And it gives you such a different thing.
It's crazy. And I mean, it's such a unique hop. It reminds me of like a mix between Nelson Sauvin, Sriracha Ace.
Yeah.
Like Mark touched on Sriracha Ace earlier. And if anyone doesn't know what Sriracha Ace is, it's a hop that originated from Japan.
I think so, yeah.
Wasn't it?
I
And
can't remember the breeding.
yeah, and I think it is so kind of coconutty, kind of like cat's wee as well.
Very
isn't it?
catty, yeah.
It's so strong. It's like a real Marmite hop, and it reminds me of cat's wee. And I know a lot of people say that as well. It's not just me.
You had those years of just everyone just pounding out saisons with Sriracha Saison, everyone did. And they were great.
They were really well kind of in dark beers, especially stouts, because they can add that coconut. But you've got to be so kind of reserved in how much you use. And it kind of, it's like you hit the nail on the head. It has that kind of subtle side of the Sriracha Ace.
Yeah.
So it's not overpowering.
It's much more delicate.
enjoyable.
Much more delicate. And the fun thing on this one is a bit of a curveball was it's actually a lager. So we Ben Gill, who led this one very much so, wanted to do an IPL. I said that, we want to do IPAs, and he wanted to do a lager, so we're doing a lager. So okay, well, let's see how we can do it. Let's see how we can get, basically an IPA NEPA sort of standard beer using a very clean, crisp lager strain. So he's put a lot of work into making it just the dirtiest lager you could, which is what we did. And it flies in the radar, but what it does, it's got a very clean, non-yeasty flavour to it, very clean. And it presents that hop Sabro so well. So yeah, kudos to Ben.
Yeah, it does, and it really does. I mean, just like Mark said, with NEPAs, they can be very heavy, quite full on because of the style of the beer. Very heavy, kind of that full bodiedness, thickness. And I think what this lager yeast strain does is kind of take that edge off it, and then kind of they really push the hops out, don't they? In my opinion,
it's so clean. There's no muddiness to it. There's no esters. There's no yeast sort of metabolites. It's such a clean punch of just hop and nothing else.
It is.
I love it.
It's super drinkable. I mean, sometimes NEPAs can be a bit heavy to drink, not ones you can kind of smash back and like a pale ale or a lager. But I think this one, even though it's I get quite heavy hops in it. It's not too bitter at all. It's got that nice clean. It's not. It is a clean finish, really, but you've still got the hops there doing everything.
Lingering, but it's not got that sort of like full whacking watery feel that sort of the NEPA does. And I absolutely smashed it. It's been good.
It is my favourite. It really is.
It's the first time I've drunk it since the second week of canning it, and it's changed a lot. It's died down a lot, but it's in the good way. It's really preserved itself.
Yeah, because we canned these how many weeks ago now?
So we did these start of January, so probably a second week of January we did all these. These all, second, third week of January, these all sort of came through. We brewed them Christmas week, which is really, really good.
It's awesome. And I always believe, people talk about freshness with beer and the fresher, the better. And I agree to that to a point, but I think, the first week they're canned or the second week, I don't think you're getting the full, you'll probably get all the hops out. And sometimes it can't be, it's not that pleasant. It'll be a lot more pleasant about another 3 or 4 weeks after, maybe 2 weeks after.
I've seen it so many times inversely. Like, it's so good in the tank, and then it sort of comes through. It gets a day or two after canning, you get a bit worried, and then it changes again. And then once you're canning, everyone's a bit worried about it. You've got to have faith that it will change, it will die back, it will get softer.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 weeks in the can, I think. Yep,
banging,
spot on. I think that's the
absolutely.
Kind of
sweet spot.
That's my personal point of view, but.
Why does that happen? It's because it's all natural compounds, and because we've got a lot of active yeast in there. I hate to band around words like biotransformation, not just because we're on YouTube, but it's sort of a coverall word for just saying things change. It's a natural chemistry in there, and as things die and change, and molecules, temperature, time, all these things sort of naturally start breaking them down, and it gives you different flavors, different composites of what's in a hop. You've got many different hard oils and acids that sort of combine to each other, and some of them are more prevalent at some points and some of them are less prevalent, and as they change into other bits and pieces. It's a real sort of crazy smorgasbord.
I think you get that it just rounds off. It doesn't stay as edgy. People might like edgy and tasting that a bit spiky like that. Personally, I prefer it to round off and become a little bit more smoother, but still have that freshness there. I mean, I can always tell when a beer is kind of stale. Or old, not gone off, but you can always tell an old beer. But I'm not talking that sort of stage. Just a few weeks and it rounds off and becomes smooth. And personally, I think it's a lot more kind of enjoyable, and it becomes a lot more drinkable as well.
It's less harsh. There's sort of high acids there that die out a little bit. There's too much literature on it, but it just gets a bit better, I suppose. It's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Which you want to see in keg? Well, we haven't finished them yet. We don't know, do we? Silly question. I think to me, I'd want Lotus, because I think you get like that lovely sort of fresh jasmine. It's the ABV's right for me for a keg beer. There's like a lovely cacao nib thing in the background. I think I'd be quite enjoying that. But right now, I'd take anything in a keg in a pub.
Yeah, you just
anything whatsoever.
That was a question to tease us.
Yeah,
because we've not been able to.
Been a pub.
It feels like. Forever since we've been able to go to the pub.
Bring back Michelob Ultra, I say.
And it feels like forever that we're going to be able to go back, but fingers crossed,
not long.
It's going to happen.
We'll be back with some cask.
Yeah.
Would you want to see Sabro used in other beers?
Yeah, so we are definitely using Sabro in some other beers. In fact, we're going to use Sabro in a beer that's going to It's going to have a little more. It's not going to be just a special for our birthday. We're looking at doing some bits and pieces with Sabro in the future. That'll be coming forward in a lot of things. We're going to use it a little bit carefully. So, again, I've got a Mosaic Sabro on my desk at the moment that we'll hopefully be bringing out to a supermarket or something near you soon.
Yeah, it is. It is unique hop. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see this one on keg personally because it's my favorite kind of one of the four of them. I think it's because it's quite different. It reminds me of what Nelson Sauvin used to be like. Really kind of, it's potent, it's different, it's unique.
Distinctive.
Yeah, massively.
Let's pick it out.
I hope it stays like that over the next few years.
Yeah.
And I'd love to make kind of a beer with this hop in it as a core beer.
Yeah.
I really, really would.
Okay.
But I mean, that's why we do these beers and try these new hops, is because they might end up a core beer. There's plenty of core beers that we have now that kind of evolved from one-off. Club Tropica evolved from a
Stay
one-off.
Puft.
Yeah, Stay Puft was a one-off. Cali was a one-off.
Boogaloo,
under a
Electric
different
Boogaloo.
name. Yeah, Electric Boogaloo.
Recently.
And that's why we love trialing these new beers, using new flavors, because it's a tool that we use then that, we gauge people's reactions. You kind of give us the feedback and we're like, we love our beers and we love our hops, but, we're probably our biggest critics, aren't we?
Yeah. We get very sensitive about
when
it
it comes to our beers. So it's good to see the feedback that we get as well. And we just take it from there, really. So any other questions?
How long does it take from idea
Idea
to final beer?
to final beer.
It depends on what it is. I think as due to the whole national situation in lockdown, we are canning every one of our new beers, and so it takes longer to get the can design right. It takes longer to get the fine tuning right on it. We can do it, and it depends how quickly the design department we can get cans at the moment. As I said, it's difficult, but we can do it in about 4 to 5 weeks to brew a can, and then another 4 to 5 weeks to get it out to the public. So we probably do it in about 8 weeks at the moment for a can. But in the days of cask, we could take one, and by 10, 11 days it could be in a pub quite happily.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, it's really difficult at the moment because of everybody. Nobody's going to the pub at the moment, so everybody wants to drink at home. And if you're drinking at home, then you're drinking out of a can or a bottle. So all of a sudden, the demand for cans and bottles, cans in our case, has just gone sky high. And of course, those cans need to go in a box, a cardboard box. So you've got to get cardboard boxes. Everybody wants cardboard, not just breweries, but I'm talking about anyone that delivers your parcel to your home wants cardboard, and they want packaging. So to get the things like cardboard and the packaging takes twice as long as it does for us to make the beer and design the beer. So there's that front end that's really difficult at the moment because everybody wants it, and all the suppliers are kind of racing around to get these cardboard boxes or any sort of cardboard, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so difficult.
Yeah, and especially when we design the cans, these are sleeved, they're not printed. So a lot of people now, a lot of breweries making one-off beers, they want to sleeve their cans. So the demand just goes higher and higher and higher. So it's a lot more difficult to procure them. So that has kind of stretched it out a little bit as well, isn't it?
And there's a lot of links in our supply chain. The more difficult the beer, if we're doing something like, I don't know, an apricot lassie, then it's going to take longer for us to get all the apricots and everything in sort of sequence. And also the beers that you see are probably, it's kind of like music albums. There's a lot of tracks that are left on the cutting room floor that we've not decided to pursue.
Yeah, and it's Brexit then as well.
Well, I'm friendly with Brexit these days.
Yeah,
we've come to terms with each other.
We've not been kind of hit by much Brexit at the moment. We've had a few things with relabeling cans and stuff like that, but but again, it can affect the fruit coming in. We use a hell of a lot of fruit in our beer as well. So
that's been difficult to come out because a lot of it comes from Europe, so European processor. So it's going to be. It takes a fair amount of time. Depends what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk about more of the fruit and everything tomorrow because we're on the mega mix tomorrow.
Ooh.
So a few different beers.
That's going to be a long day.
That'll be a fun one tomorrow at 6:30. So I don't know where we're going to be for the 6:30 one tomorrow. Back here.
We're upstairs. Is it? Have we got the heating on?
Yeah, no heating on. There's no heating in the brewery.
You haven't read my rider. I demand heating.
Yeah.
And green M&Ms.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, we were just saying about keg earlier as well, and cask. We've not talked much about cask really, and I'm absolutely I'm absolutely dying for quite a good cask beer.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, especially in the winter when I think it's even more enjoyable to drink cask beer.
Yeah.
We're just behind our cask vessels here. So these were originals from our old brewery, open top fermenters that we use for all our cask beer. Currently not receiving much love because there's no beer going through those ones.
No, just left in the corner, about to be hit by a forklift.
Personally, I can't wait for a pint of cask beer, pint of Kutch.
Pint could be good.
Yeah, fingers crossed now everything keeps going and we can start brewing again for the on-trade, the pubs and the bars, and our own bars as well. So hopefully we can start getting them in the brew schedule again. We'll start seeing a bit more brew numbers going up as well. I just fingers crossed we can stick to those dates and work to that. So let's jump on to the next one.
All right.
So, oh my God, they killed Motueka. Now, great hop again. A hop that we've not used much, is it?
We've never called it out. I think we've used it in several little things. You did a beer a few years ago called a Chia Brai. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was a New Zealand kiwi fruit and kiwi beer, and that had that in it. And then we did another one with Mutri with another New Zealand hop. But it's phenomenal.
It's a great hop. I mean,
what do you like about it?
What, the hop itself?
The hop, yeah.
I like it. I find it very citrusy, very limey. It's got that real citrusy, limey character to it. There's not a huge amount else that goes on with it. I think it's a real good hop. It really is. And I know there's a few, really good sort of craft breweries that absolutely love this hop. I know Arbor over in Bristol, our friends over there, they love this hop.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it. It's a very good hop.
They did a bit called All the Mo's.
Yeah, it's unique, and it's got that real, as I said, really citrusy, limey. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's lovely. It really is. We don't use many New Zealand hops anymore, do we? I think.
No, they're so good that a lot of it's trying to get them over here and get themselves on contracts. You've got to use. They've done it recently in the last 2 or 3 years. New Zealand hop market has gone a bit more independent. So you're dealing a lot more with independent contractors, and obviously we're used to contracting a lot of our stuff with fairly big hop brokers. So it's about establishing conversations, and we're talking to a few at the moment, which this is one of them. So it's really good.
Do you know the first thing that hit me drinking that then
Go on.
was the thickness from
It's
going
huge,
from the Sabro
It's huge.
to the Motueka. It's like whoa! It's
Yeah.
like you're almost chewing on it. It's like that, and you get more bitterness as well. It's like a pow.
It just stays in it, doesn't it?
yeah.
So obviously, unlike the Sabro, it's not a lager. This is very much getting on towards a classic sort of NEPA style. As Gaz said before, as you up your ABV, you're starting to get a lot more chewiness, a lot more fruit, a lot more citrus that needs to come out of the beer. And that classic NEPA style really is just very not bitterness classic, but low bitterness, very hop juice, very oriented yeast sort of protein, very different water base entirely. So they're poles apart. We also used a little bit of, I think we used Vienna, but we used some Cara in this one.
Yeah.
Possibly a bit of Munich. I can't remember quite. And then that final gravity. There's a lot more sugar left in it to give you that sweetness, that sort of chewiness. It's a lot closer to a classic NEPA style.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little bit more muddied, but a lot of the reasons for that is because just how limey, how punchy that Motueka is. If you were to do that in the Sabro base, you'd be closer to a different hopped lager than anything else.
Yeah. Did we use the Windsor yeast on this one?
No. We this is our house strain.
This was
Our house strain. Yeah. So this is an English ale strain that we've trained to bottom crop. This is our house strain. We use it for everything, club to Cali to just for everything. So this is all our house strain. I think all of these are house. All of these are house.
Yes.
Yeah.
So rewind. But no, I mean it's a great beer. That change from the one to the other, it's just like a massive punch in the
It's
face.
huge,
to
isn't
me.
it?
It's like whoa,
It's
and the
chewy.
bitterness is a lot heavier on it as well. And again, it's I don't know whether that comes down to kind of the hops in it or the more yeast that's left in the beer, because there is going to be yeast left in the beer, no doubt, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing the yeast cell does, I try not to do this too much, but it takes the bitterness constituents in a hop, or certainly that the hops give to the beer, and it binds to the yeast cell. So you tend to find that the more yeast you've got in there, you're getting a lot more bitterness sort of retracted into it. And so as the yeast settles out, you're going to have a stripping and a lot less bitterness.
Yeah. No, it's superb. And I mean, it's as you can tell, well, the sort of clarity on the beers as well. They are kind of really thick and murky. There's a reason for that because it's the style of the beer. We don't filter it at all. It'll get passed through a centrifuge that we've talked about loads of times before. But for anybody that kind of hasn't tuned in before, do you want to explain what our centrifuge does, Mark, and how fast we kind of put our beers through?
Yeah, so it spins. Covered it. No, one of the best ways to sort of settle things out, as anyone knows, if you put sand in a bucket, is to let gravity take its course. And one of the ways that we manipulate that is by having a centrifuge. So it spins around much like a bucket of water when you're a kid, and spinning it around your arm, and it increases your gravitational force, and it flies out larger particles. And careful use of that, we can
it flies off.
and just flies off. The poor girl running at Sash just gets caked every day. It's not that; it's because she's clumsy. Yeah, so that's what we do to sort of clear up most of our beers. 90% of our beers, in fact, everything really gets centrifuged these days. You know, she's done some really good work with that recently, and yeah, so it sort of does that. Sorry?
Very common childhood activity.
Swinging a bucket is a calm childhood activity. If you got a stick and stopped your sister's arm when it was up at the top,
and then just let it
best
go.
Day. Yeah,
that was the best bit, is letting it go.
No, I used to just stop my sister's arm.
Yeah,
it was good fun.
No, it is, and I know that some of the beers that we do will kind of send through there a bit faster or a bit slower. The kind of slower they go through there, the more they clear up.
Yeah, so the more time it's got on that the centrifuge it's spinning, and the more time it's going, the more it will clear up. Pressures are a different thing, is quite important. Pumping onto it, there's a lot of different ways of playing with it, and yeah, it's helped us an awful lot.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, once these kind of hot pellets, I'll just give you a show there. Once these kind of break up and kind of disperse, they create such a mess, and they absorb so much beer, and the losses that we get from the beer just in the soakages is massive as well. So the more hops you use, the more expensive the beer becomes, and then the more hops you use again, the less beer you have because of the losses and the soakages. So, you know, it's a real expensive kind of sort of thing, is to use lots of hops. That's why kind of NEPAs, heavily hop beers are expensive, because of the hops that go in there and the losses that you get.
Yeah, that goes back onto that, you know, just why the pellet became important, you know, but by having that late hopping, by using it at coldest temperatures, you are getting an awful lot of really interesting oils out of it, but they're much less of them. Yeah. So if you boil a hop, it's like boiling a tea bag. You know, you can get everything you need to with a very small amount. So you'd probably, if I could analogize with that one, you'd use like a handful for a boiling hop, and then you'd probably use sort of like a whole fistful for a hop on the whirlpool. It's still a little bit hot, 75 degrees or so. And then as soon as you get into the hell, you're talking barrels and barrels and barrels of hops that go into it. It's a magnitude of, you know, 10 to 100. Is it 1, 10, 100?
Exactly. But I think, you know, what you get with that, because they disperse so, you know, massively into tiny sort of particles, you can still see these particles because we've got to try and get rid of them. And that's what the centrifuge does. It helps separate, you know, those solids out of the beer. But, you know, just to give you an example, if you were to make like a really big sort of double IPA, people are reporting like, what, 35% losses, 40% losses?
35, that'd be criminal, but yeah, 35, 40% is common.
So
it's terrible. So, you know,
mean, that's crazy.
And you've really you've made a super expensive beer. You've then lost more of it than you're expecting to, and you've got a very low yield. It's why the price gets very high, particularly for, you know, very sort of hazy IPA oriented beers. And, you know, you're paying not just for the quality of that beer, but you're paying for the sort of amount of hops they're willing to use and why they're willing to give you those flavors. And it's why we don't do them too often. Also, they fade fast. I mentioned that earlier. They break down very quickly. They change. But if you were to put these on a supermarket shelf and leave it for 3 months, which is not on each supermarket shelf, but by the time it's gone through its chainsaw, you know, it would be a very different beer. You start to get off flavors. It'd be certainly, you know, more or less
exactly. And I think, you know, when we designed this brewery sort of 3 years ago now, it's the whole reason why we put 2 separate brew plants in, because we knew we wanted to be flexible. We always wanted fresh beer. So rather than making 10,000 litre batches, we can make 5,000 litre batches. You know, keep the kind of quantity down low to keep, you know, turning over a lot faster. Keep that freshness in there, rather than brewing bigger batches sitting on our, you know, in our storage for twice as long.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why we've done that, and I think it works well.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
And if you've got them at home, you know, drink them quickly. You know, it's not the same as a big stout where, you know, leave for a year or two.
Yeah.
Get them in the fridge and get them in your mouth.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it says on the back of my label.
Yes. Any questions on that beer, guys?
Not for beer, but for us in general,
what do we learn from COVID? That don't catch COVID.
I've learned to cut my own hair.
Yes.
I haven't had a haircut in a year, other than by myself.
Oh, right, okay.
Turns out it's not that difficult. There you go. Look, it's not that difficult. It helps if you don't give a fuck about how you look.
Yeah. I know. What have I learned from COVID? Yeah, don't catch it.
Yeah, don't catch it.
just be careful.
You haven't
and be
learned that the
safe.
hard way, though, have you? You've learned that through proxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as a brewery, what have we learned as a brewery? I think so many things.
How adaptable we can be.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. How adaptable and how quick we were able to kind of turn around, because everything changed. You know, we overnight we lost 75% of our business.
More, it's 85,
80%.
85, yeah, 85. We had orders coming. We'd sent out the day before, just coming back to us. We already, you know, we knew it was going to be something, but we didn't know it was going to be that disastrous. We shut the pubs, we shut the brewery, and then slowly, you know, the online shop helped us, and you know, we've built that entire business. And thanks to support the guys and loves the guys who've shown for us. And you know, we've in 12 months we've changed our entire makeup, and
yeah, definitely. I think
it won't be the same again, but
being able to adapt to that climate. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. Adapting. I think we were very lucky and fortunate to install the new canning line a month before kind of lockdown.
Yeah, well, if that it was commissioned 3 weeks before the main lockdown.
Yeah,
so COVID was in the air, as it were.
Yeah, we were lucky that we could kind of flip everything towards can. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah, no, and you know the packaging department have really sort of been pulled through the mill on that one, and they've done a fantastic job. So
yeah, and look, don't get me wrong, it's been super tough as well. Really, really tough.
Our bars, every element of this business.
I think people personally, people catch it. People have caught it, and it's not nice, is it?
It's getting a bit much now
as
well.
As well, isn't it? It can be a bit scary at first when when it's on your doorstep. When it's not on your doorstep, you don't really realise that when it is. But we are, and
light at the end of the tunnel.
It is.
I've coined that, by the way. I'm the first person to use the phrase "light at the end of the tunnel."
Yeah, I think having a date as well is massive, not just for us but for everybody else.
Yeah, we can work.
You can work to that, and there's kind of light in the tunnel. And we're starting to talk about now. I think there's a few contracts coming up, but with the on trade, and it's just nice, isn't it? Because it gets our brew numbers up. For anyone that's on furlough as well, they can come back.
Yeah.
So things are looking good at the moment. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
No, Motueka's been around, I think, 15 years now. Really, it's certainly been growing slowly. And I don't think when it first came out, it was a lot of people were shouting about it, but not in the same way they are now. As Gaz says, Nelson Sauville, Motueka, I think Dr. Rudy, these guys came out of New Zealand around about the same time, and a lot of noise was being made. Nelson Sauville was very much like the top pinnacle hop, and it's still fantastic, but a lot of people overused it, and growing conditions weren't the same. It's certainly stuff that we've seen a lot of people saw there was a bit of a dip in that quality, but Motueka's consistency sort of plugged away, and it's got better and better. Over the last 3 years, it's been really phenomenal. So we wanted to go out and talk about it.
It is a great hop, and we'd love to bring sort of a New Zealand hop back into our portfolio, wouldn't we?
Funny thing though, it's actually its parent SARS.
Oh really?
Yeah, so it's
a lager hop,
which is a lager hop, very traditional sort of lager hop. You get some sort of limey out of it, but by taking that plant out of Germany and growing it in New Zealand for a couple of years, it changes it entirely. Breeding it with other plants out there.
Someone asked, does hazy lager make it an IPA?
Sorry?
Does a hazy lager turn into an IPA?
It can if you want it to. I mean, eventually in India, an IPAs are called IPAs because when we were boycotted by Napoleon, that damn genius.
You've started him now.
He started him now. I'm talking about the French Revolution.
You started him going off now.
I'm going to enjoy this.
History
next 10 minutes.
Stuff, but,
we had to start shipping up. Please sit and drink. Bring a book.
I'll listen.
No. We started shipping beers. We started shipping beers over to India, the Raj, which we had control of at the time, badly. And to survive that voyage, we started to put more hops, which are bacteriostatic. They don't support gram-positive bacteria, and more alcohol into them. So they'd last the journey. And by the time they got there, they would be fresh.
But did they water them down when they drank them, or did they drink them at that ABV when they drank them?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest with you guys.
That's the question.
Oh yeah, you got the old cricket analogy. I suppose.
When I see an IPA, it's kind of like they're always 5% plus.
Yeah. But the old English ones, Flowers 3.4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but their argument is that when it got there,
you watered it down.
They'd water it down to be like what it was back over here.
I mean, I don't want to speak for Georgian publicans, but I'm guessing they watered a lot of stuff down at the time.
Yeah, but apparently that they liked the taste of it so much, the colonial troops, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That they enjoyed the taste of it and the strength of it because it was much stronger that they didn't bother watering it back down. So I think that's where these are kind of picked up from, isn't it? So
It certainly sounds familiar.
yeah, they probably just enjoyed getting drunk quicker, probably.
Okay, so yeah, if you brew that with a lager strain and you ship it over to the Raj in the Regency period, then yeah, you can call it an IPA, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So we've got a New Zealand hop. What are the other two?
So we've got two Americans, both of these are Americans. Lotus is a very new American, and Sabro is obviously a Mexican, it's actually Mexican-American, I suppose is how you branch it. It's Neo Mexicanus, one of the sort of geniuses that came from there. I won't talk about hop genealogies and how they got to America, but
Maximum.
X-Men.
Maximum.
Oh, Maxima.
Yeah. Mexican American.
Mexican.
Okay, right.
No more for you.
We've got a question following on from that. Have we got any Welsh hops?
There are people have tried, but to grow a hop anyway, as in hedgerow hops, they're very established. They're very strong, similar to nettles. They can pretty much grow anywhere in amongst a lot of things. They're a very aggressive plant, but to grow a brewing hop, a hop that has the right sort of oil content, acid content, very established, it's very finicky, and it takes very large, open, flat areas with very little wind to get this right with the right soil content. And Wales isn't great for it. Cornwall, where I'm from, isn't great for it. A couple of miles up the road in Herefordshire, really good, really, really good. But I've known farms that have someone's knocked a hedgerow down 2 miles away and they've lost half the field because of windburn. Yeah. So it's these hops that are coming out of sort of New Zealand, Australia, and particularly America in the last 100 years or so. It's because they're these huge microclimates that are very stable. So the only thing I can give you an adage for is it's like when grapes were grown over in Australia, South Africa, very similar sort of thing. They found these huge areas of very constant microclimates.
Great country though, isn't it?
What? Wales?
Great country.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Hopefully terrible at rugby tomorrow.
Saturday.
So no, there's no Welsh hops that people have used them, but there's not really anything worth talking about.
No, not really. I think the people have tried in the last sort of 10, 15 years as well, I think. But no, unfortunately not.
No.
We make
we do grow them out on the front, yes, but unfortunately not enough to sustain even the old kit. So
we have the best leeks and the best sheep. That's what we're good at.
Yeah,
we're very
particularly good at Scrabble.
Why change?
Yeah.
Why change a thing that works?
Good at Scrabble, that's nice. Yeah, great at using U's.
Just leeks and sheep. I think we're happy with that. Next beer, right? So we're on to Cashmere. I don't have a Cashmere jumper. Do you? A sweater?
No, unfortunately not. No. Okay. I'm sure my partner has one somewhere, but she can probably tell me I do have one, but I've not noticed what it is. But
so, what was the thoughts around this beer, Mark, with the Cashmere?
We love Cashmere. It's been around for a while. Again, it's a Cascade descendant. This time with Northern Brewer, I think, which was a German hop. It's been around for a long time. It was piloted about 10 years ago, so it's sort of an everyman hop. I think it's had a bit of a bumpy ride over the last few years. A lot of people have used it in different areas because it's got a high acid content, so you can use it in anywhere in the brewing process. But what I do like from it is it's got a flavour in it that's just unusual. Sort of musky, but it's also got great blackcurrant, great melon. I always get like a really sort of sweet, candied sweet texture off it.
Yeah. The first thing I'm getting with it, it's more rounded and sort of softer. It's more fruitier, but doesn't have that sort of limey citrus was picking back up off the Motueka. It's a lot more smoother.
Yeah.
Less bitterness, sweeter.
Yeah, very much so. And the malt grist was designed around that. We've got some Vienna in there, so it's a much darker color than the others. Steve, who has been with us for half a year now, previously from Sadler's, was very much piloting behind this, and he really wants to go for sort of like the very thick classic style, very rounded, less bitterness. It's less sharp. It's got some nice blackcurrant melon thing in there.
It's a lot more rounded. I find a lot more rounded than the Motueka. I find the kind of Motueka was a bit more spikier, certainly more citrusy.
Yeah.
This one's got that nice sort of dryness.
It's chewy almost.
Yes.
Yeah. No. It's
very nice.
It's got a great texture to it, and it's kudos to how much you want to get a hop in something. You really look at it and what can go around it to make it as good as it can get.
Probably my second favorite. This one.
Really?
Yes.
After Sabro.
Sabro first, and this one.
See, I'm the opposite end. I think Lotus and then Motueka for me.
Really?
Yeah. Those are the two I'd prefer. I like the
That's
Sabro.
interesting.
I'd happily have one, but I think if I was going to sit in a pub and have a couple of kegs, it'd be nice to.
Yeah,
Probably not a couple of kegs of
I
this
see.
Cashmere, but certainly a couple of pints.
interesting.
Mhm.
No, I think it's really cool as well. And we were super pleased how all these ones turned out. We love an IPA at Tiny Rebel, on IPL. And one of the reasons why we didn't do a birthday pack sort of this year is because we've been kind of loving our 4-packs recently. We do, we try and put all our specials into 4-packs where we can.
It gives us a chance to show 4 different things the same. Well, 4 different things the same way is probably a bit facile, but certainly, each of these are IPAs or IPLs, and
And especially in mixed packs. Very rare do you see a mixed pack in a 4-pack. And we wanted to show off kind of each individual hop and put them in a 4-pack. You get to see all that because you have to buy them all, obviously. But
riffing on a theme.
yeah, and I think it's the same with our cocktail pack as well that we're going to dive into on Saturday. We're going to miss the cocktail.
We're mixing the cocktails. Yeah, we're not allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's for the attractive people,
What?
the young people.
What?
The young people. Charlie's laughing because it's her partner, but that's fine. Ashley's laughing because he likes Charlie's partner.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. And we love an IPA. And the reason why we didn't want to make a birthday box like we did the last 2 years, and they were great birthday boxes, the 2 of them, weren't they?
Not at work, but yeah.
Yeah,
great.
and it's a real kind of headache trying to pack mixed 4-packs because you can't get a machine to kind of pack mixed cans. You've got to pack them individually.
It's quite inclusive as well. We did
Yeah.
the blending pack last year. That was great because all of them could blend together, and people were really taking that to the next level. But sort of where do you go from there? It's
Yeah.
good for us to sort of showcase 4 things in a time. To do 9 things in a sequence would be horrible, possibly. Or certainly, we didn't. It's not that we didn't have any good ideas, but it didn't really sort of blend itself naturally. So it was much better to sort of chop it up into blocks and go that. And then typically for us, we started with 9 and ended up with 14. So
Yeah, exactly. And we're on 5 tomorrow? 6?
5 or 6
We're on
tomorrow. 6 tomorrow. Different beers.
I hope you did that for as well because you can just tell. Can you tell that there's 4 different beers in
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I am color deficient. I'm not colorblind. You can't say that.
I'm not sure that's a thing.
It is. You
Is
can't
it?
say
Is
colorblind.
it colour deficient?
You can't.
All right. Well, if I'm stare deficient,
That's like saying policeman.
I
You
don't
can't.
like stares.
Uh,
To be fair, I don't know which
that
one.
one. That one. Yeah. It's like,
They are very close together.
It's like you can't say policeman. It's police officer. So you can't say colorblind. It's color deficient.
I prefer not to talk to them on a general rule. To be honest with you, that's fine.
I'm not going to tell you my previous job.
I hadn't thought of that
It
actually.
involved
Yeah.
it involved wires.
Important
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, important
Yeah.
wires.
Yeah, he was a tightrope walker.
But no, I mean, we were super stoked that all of these turned out. And I think kudos to our sort of brew team. Whenever we make a sort of new recipe, we pass it around everywhere. If there's anybody that shows an interest in making a recipe, they're always invited and encouraged to come forward and have a chat and put a sort of a recipe across, their ideas across. Really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's very much all their work. Every single one of the 4 guys that did this, it's been more or less 100% their work. There's some doctoring around because it has to sit in. We wanted to use these 4 hops. We want to use them in certain ways, but it's very much their work. And
Yeah.
else. Yes, Charlie.
Sorry, I'm waving at Alex.
Are you waving at Alex behind you? Oh, okay.
And
Thanks.
which one of our
So
brews?
boring are we?
Which one of our brews are the Cashmere?
Steve, I did say
Steve.
earlier. Steve from Sadler's. Steve, the Brummy.
Midland Steve.
Midland Steve.
Midland Steve.
Best tattoo ever.
Yeah. What does it say?
Steve Robinson.
Is that-
It's his name. Yeah. In a
Just in
place
case-
he cannot read it.
Just in case he forgets.
Yeah. That's not my theory, but let's look into it.
That's crazy.
Have you guys got any insight into some new emerging hops that are coming into the market?
Probably less so than some people. But we've got some new ones coming up. Definitely, you'll see a Talus beer by the end of the year. We're looking at Strata, but we're not such big fans ourselves. But
Yeah.
some other guys have done some really interesting stuff with it. We're working with YCH and something, so we look forward to doing some of that. But
Someone mentioned something about incognito.
Incognito. So Incognito
blend,
is
isn't it?
it's a different hopping technique. We've used it already in the Party Hard, the NA. So it's a concentrated hop oil extract. We'll be using that in something very soon. There's definitely some more hop-forward beers, some more beer-flavored beers coming out this year, which we're looking forward to. Me and Gaz are particularly. There's very much a beer-flavored beer coming out in the next week or so, couple of weeks.
Beer-flavored beer, yeah,
Beer-flavored
definitely.
beer,
That's for the March drop.
That's the March drop, yeah.
I'm not sure how much we can say about the new beers coming out in March.
No, I think we can hint, but I don't think we can say anything.
I don't know, probably get a row.
Mo's not here, so we can say what we want. Excellent. So I'll be the first to tell you Fubar's coming back in can, and it's going to be in every supermarket.
No, that is a lie.
That is a lie.
That is a
Unfortunately,
lie.
that's a lie.
I'm trying to. I keep dropping hints for everyone to bring back Hadouken in a can. I love
Hadouken in a can
Hadouken,
would be
which
great.
is our 7.4%.
Is that the one you'd bring back
IPA?
if you could bring back anything in a can?
Yeah, in a 440. I love the design, the red, the bold, the
Yeah,
arrows on there. Yeah, I wouldn't bring that
Pineapple
back.
Hadouken?
Just
Yeah.
Hadouken, just straight Hadouken.
Straight up Hadouken.
Don't mess with it. Just Hadouken.
Well, Pineapple Hadouken was a riff on Pineapple Express, so yeah, that's what done it.
I mean, there's so many new hops out. You'll see the ones that they come out and they're just codes, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's so many new ones with just codes that don't make it kind of commercially. They come out as experiment hops.
There's one we tried last year, HB692. We really liked. So we're waiting to find out what that's going to be called.
Yeah.
I think the name's really important.
It is, because you forget the number.
Yeah, very much
I
so.
mean, you try so many HBCs, or I know there's a few good British hops coming out, and they're doing some really good
Harlequin.
experiment. Yeah, you know, that's super unique. I love Olicana.
Yeah,
Just
good.
as good. But there's loads of new hops that the sort of British farmers are bringing out. But they also have to be kind of viable to grow for them as well, don't they?
Yeah, very much so.
So
We've got some Sultana coming up as well, some things with that, so that'll be fun.
yeah, that's kind of like the worst name for a hop.
But it was called Denali, which was great, and now they
I mean,
renamed it
so
Sultana.
It tastes not like the Sultana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
But yeah.
Finish with telling us a little bit about our, so we're going from here to here, and where are we going now?
So here to here, what? So we
What's
went
the
from
plan
there
for this
to
year?
there to there. So the next step from there to there to there is bigger than that. Covered it?
So I think the plan for this year is go to the pub.
Yeah,
Get
pretty
to
much.
the pub.
Get to the pub.
No.
Not take stuff too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, no, just to carry on what we're doing. I think, you know, we can't tell the future at the moment because of what's happening. But, you know, we'll keep doing what we're doing, pushing. We're working on our new spirits range. We're working real hard on that at the moment.
Cider.
Got the cider as well that we're looking at. That's in planning at the moment. And obviously the orchards are a few years older now. So there's that side of it. But I mean, we'll keep doing what we're doing now. We'll still have fun. We won't take ourselves too seriously. We take our beer seriously, but you know, we take our sort of quality super seriously. But I think just keep doing what we love doing.
Yeah. Just new, different beers, and
Yeah.
keep improving on our cause. And
We'll keep growing as a business, you know, whether it's more tanks, whether it's adaptations to our brew kit, whether it's purchasing a new warehouse, building a new warehouse. There's the bars as well now. We want to continue growing our bars, keep evolving them and adapting them as well, and just keep moving. I think that the biggest thing you can't do is stand still, because things will pass you by. You have to be on the front foot. If you're not, you'll get passed by. You know, but I think just having fun and just evolving. I think that's what our kind of new motto is and what we kind of strive to do. And it is true. It's not a cheesy pun or anything. We've always done that. We enjoy what we do, I think. We enjoy making these new beers.
enjoy all of it. Yeah.
We enjoy the challenge.
There's a lot of stuff that's, behind the scenes that works really well. There's a lot of things we're tidying up at the moment. That's probably the big part of this year, just sort of consolidating and putting ourselves in a strong place.
I think we've done really well as a business to kind of keep everybody employed through the past 12 months. We want to keep them employed. We want to grow our team this year. There's a few job adverts out now, looking for finance, marketing,
warehousing.
E-commerce. So we are growing, and it's not all doom and gloom. It's quite positive at the moment. So, and that's what we want to keep doing, and we want to keep growing and buying bigger tanks. And we're not after world domination, but we just enjoy it.
Just Newport domination.
Yeah.
I know that you probably need to be by
I'm not down a beer. I'm driving.
No.
I'm not driving. No, I'm not. I'm not.
Charlie? Why don't you come in front of the camera and you down a beer? Because we know you're getting driven home and you've put so much work into this. We all feel that you deserve a bit of a break and a shotgun.
I promise tomorrow I will responsibly down a beer. That's the deal. But not the Bubblicious 8.4%.
I heard you're going to down the Bubblicious 8.4%. Rumor has it.
No, and I think it's again, for anyone who's bought these beers, thanks so much. Obviously, because without anyone's support, you guys having a beer in your house, or even anyone buying from the bars that's still open with food, just thanks for supporting us. It's massive, and it's helped us keep people employed and keep brewing. And thank you so much, guys. Awesome. Yeah.
See you tomorrow at 6:30. Sorry, actually 6:30. Tomorrow at 6:30.
YouTube.
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 Yeah, see you YouTube. Bye.
Awesome.
Wow, that
Thanks
was
very much,
unnatural.
guys.